The time is now 2:03. I call to order the Joint Utilities and Technology and Special Call Committee of the Whole meeting. And I thank everyone who has joined us this afternoon. Our first order of business on our agenda is approval of minutes, and this will be minutes from the Tuesday, May 16th meeting. Councilor O'Quinn, have you had a chance to review those minutes?
Yes, ma'am, and I recommend that we approve those as written.
Thank you, and I second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So those minutes of the May Utilities and Technology and Special Call Committee meeting have been approved. Thank you very much. We do have some new business this afternoon, and I'm very excited to have a conversation with us about some of the services and initiatives that are going on at the Birmingham Waterworks Board. So I'm very excited to have Chairman Mr. Johnson here, as well as their PIO Communications Director, Rick Jackson. And so we appreciate you for bringing us this information and discussing strategies and plans you have moving forward. So Rick, I'll just give you the opportunity to introduce.
Thanks for having us. Of course, always a pleasure to speak before the committee. As you may have heard by now, we are moving in with our new initiative, which is Build Better. This is something that's going to further our strategic plan, which our general manager will get into in just a moment. But just as a response to some of the challenges we had in 2022, as sort of a backlash from COVID, we're having staffing challenges that put us behind with meter reads and just caused a whole whirlwind of things for us. And so we are, of course, happy to be in a position to where we corrected those problems and we're back caught up and we're in good footing. But, you know, the question is asked, what's next? And so our Build Better campaign is sort of in our response to that. And so I am going to let our general manager, Michael Johnson.
Thank you, and I do appreciate you bringing this over to us. I saw the announcement of it and just thought it would be a great opportunity to have you all to come, and we do have a lot of residents that view this meeting, and just for the information for the council, we wanted to find out more about the program. So thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity. One of the things that we focus on at the utility is customer service. You would be amazed at how we mobilize staff when a customer calls about an account. That's from me on down. I know we've gotten inquiries from you, Councilor Quinn, and also from Madam Chair. And so we're very, very sensitive to that. And so the first thing I want to cover with you is just to give you just an overview of kind of how we operate. So an organization as large as ours, as you all know, we run a big city. It takes planning. And so a couple of years ago, actually I can't believe that it's been 2 years, the board passed our strategic plan, and this one pager here is a summary of that plan. And if you kind of move over to the left side of the document, of course we redid our updated our vision, our mission, and our values. And the first one you see there is customer service. And out of those meetings came 6 goals that we're focusing on. On the right-hand side, you see those 6 goals. And the second one there is customer satisfaction. And that's something that we recognize have over time that to put systems in place and people in place to be able to address that. And so this next attachment or handout, I'm going to just briefly tell you what this one is. And so what we did as a group, that includes all of our staff members who touch customers and some of those who don't, our board of directors. We met, and basically what this diagram is called a spider graph, is we looked at where we thought we were at the time. And that, I call it the triangle. But in the middle, you see it's green. That's where we said, well, here's where we think we are. And then the outside, the blue dots is where we said we wanted to go.
Okay.
And you can see outside the 4 areas that we wanted to address. We want to minimize customer complaints. And those would be things that we did or just customers just not knowing. Right-hand side is the target for, or we wanted to set targets for customer service delivery. And then down at the bottom, we wanted to receive positive perception from our customers, the trust that we talk about. And then on the left-hand side, we wanted to efficiently deliver customer service, and that is, how do we do it? But do it efficiently, which means saving money. So COVID rolled around, and thank God we had a plan in place, but we realized then that is the direction we need to go. And so we developed, Rick mentioned this plan, Build Better initiative, and it's built around really 3 primary focus areas, and that is transparency. We implemented a new bill design. We put that in place, it'll be a year ago in August, and that was a working group that we talked about how can we better develop, or better deliver a bill to a customer that customer understands. And we've gotten really rave reviews about that bill because it is clearer. There's more detail on it. It's just like your credit card. If you were to look at it, you see all charges, payments, and billings for any particular month. A good part of that as well is timely billing. Once upon a time, a customer, based on the way our system was designed, he would get multiple bills. And the reason for it is it had to go back and adjust previous months and send a bill for each month. That was confusing when we had issues with COVID. That's been redone to where you get one bill. You'll have those multiple months on it, but it's one bill. We found that a lot of times customers thought they added them all up, and when they added it up, that's what was due. But what was due was the most recent one. So the new bill design is working for us. We will continue to look at that. The other thing is, which is huge, is in our strategic plan, we talked about investing in automated metering. I mean, that is our utility. There's many around the country that don't do it, but they're looking to do it. But there are a lot of them that do it. It's easy for the small utilities, but one that's our size, with a cost of $67 million, maybe more, it's a big pill to swallow when you're trying to control rate increases. But that is something that we really need to do, and our board is committed to doing it. We've issued an RFP for a consultant. It's kind of a 2-phase process. We'll get a consultant to help us draft the RFP, and then once that RFP is issued, the firm that's selected will be evaluated, and and then at some point we'll start that implementation. We're looking at, on the early side, and because of we're December year end, we're looking at potentially starting in January of 2025, and it'll be a phased-in approach. But again, we're looking for the experts to help us determine what the best mode of operation is for implementing it, and so we'll start then. That is, without a doubt, at this point, the most important thing that we can do, we think, with meter reading. The reason for that is it's challenging to keep people. I've seen turnover. It's a tough job, and also we want customers to be confident in what we're doing, and taking as much of that manual process out of it as we can. So the other thing is we're investing in our infrastructure. You all know that. We've got a tremendous number of projects that are going. The significant part of that is you may hear news about non-revenue water because of leaks in the system. And so long term, we want to replace the aging pipe that we have. We probably got 500-600 miles of unlined cast iron and galvanized steel pipe, and there are leaks on those pipes. And so that is something that we've upped the ante on. Customers call, and they may see leaks and things like that, but that's the second piece of that. That's the biggest part of that. The other one is investing in our customer education and engagement. Because we find that when you do reach out to our customers, they appreciate it, and they better understand what they're dealing with. Because with customers, it's not enough at our utility. Around the country, they do it a little different. It's not enough at our utility to just say, well, Michael Johnson where our meter is, you know, they're just reading correctly. It's not enough. We have to get to the point where the customer understands what we told them and they accept a response and they know what the next best action is. And so that's what we're focused on. So whether that's going to neighborhoods and meeting with our customers and stakeholders, it doesn't have to be customers who are interested. We've done that and even amped that up. We probably, I'm not sure how many neighborhoods we've gone through thus far.
Yeah,
We
we've
just-
done
after the
probably about
initiative.
4 already.
That's after the initiative, and we want to hit every neighborhood out there. And then we also want to educate them. One of the things we find is that with customers, they have leaks. We want to teach them how to find leaks, how to detect those leaks. And one of the issues that we're working on is trying to get them to understand how their bill can increase based on the amount of water that could be leaking in and around their properties. And then also introducing them to assistance. We've got several entities that we partner with. I say partner, they're linked on our website. When customers call and they can't pay their bill, we'll refer them to them. It could be the Northeast Community Action Agency that gets the funding that JCCEO used to get. So we refer to them and we've gotten quite a bit of assistance from them. We'll refer them to the H2O Foundation. We'll refer them to United Way. We'll refer them to the Urban League, organizations like that can help them. And then we'll continue to help. You know, we got payment arrangements. If you get your water turned off nowadays, I'm sorry, just because you want it. I don't mean to joke, but that's where we are. If you get your water turned off nowadays, it's because we definitely have a lot of resources. There's 3 months payment plan, 6 months, 12 payment plan, 12-month payment plans. We'll defer. If somebody can't pay and they say, well, I know I had this payment plan. But at some point, they do have to pay because our funding nature says that we can't give away free water. Because of course, we've got to be able to maintain fiscal strength, fiscal viability. And so, you know, we want to continue to provide affordable water. You know, we think we do a good job of it. But again, we're trying to build a trust back with our customers. It's always been tough. You all know this community. It's always been tough. And so when you have something that happens that causes uneasiness from customers, and I say that I don't take that lightly, it's cause of concern for us, our board of directors. They've really been supportive. Supportive with this AMI, AMR, with our budgets. We're focusing on our communications. I feel like that's one of the things that we really upped the ante on. And we added in our call center, or in our customer support area, some of the call center, but we've added, I think, 4 positions, and those are the ones that are going to handle difficult calls that customers may have, those ones that you can't just answer quickly. We've added new staff to go out and meet with customers, but we want them to know what we do and understand for themselves what we do, how what we do impacts them. You know, we know that in our community, 26% or so of our, just city of Birmingham alone, customers are at a water poverty level. And if you look at the cost of water, and we never talk about sewer, but we focus on what we can focus on, but you can see how it impacts people. So we want them to know that we care about what they do and care about their bills, we care about their service, we care about fixing leaks in their neighborhood, and we want to get them to where they understand and know that we care about what we do.
A good part of that, like you mentioned, is the education part. You know, we always have a well-run organization, but the thing that is joining us from our customers is their ability to understand. And so with Build Better, that means educating better. And as far as my team, we've added new staff members, just really specifically for getting out in the community. And so we're targeting several neighborhood associations per month. And really just getting out there and targeting what those specific needs are. Like, for example, one district may want more information about leak detection. And we cater to want some information about financial assistance. But it's been a really, really great start to it. We've been able to conduct a survey, we get those responses back, and it's all about just really connecting with our customers and helping them to understand the operations of this utility and to understand how we build them. And so we're really happy and excited about it. We'll be seeing more information about Build Better, in the public. We are releasing this mailer that's going out that's going to have a wealth of information on it, talking about projects we have going on in their specific neighborhoods, and just, we're excited about it. We're really excited about it, and we're looking forward to the feedback from our customers.
Yes, we are. And if there's some things, I know you all, you'll tell us, you do all the time. And so if there's something that we need to adjust, we'll do it. Because our job is to make sure that we're connecting, not just putting a whole bunch of information, but connecting the right way with what we're doing.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing this information to us today. I have a couple of questions, but I want to let Councilor Quinn, if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
I know.
questions. I'm curious, so like with any infrastructure, I'm just gonna use the city of Birmingham, for example. So, our streets don't maintain themselves. It's an ongoing process. We're constantly having to invest in maintenance, Don't even ask me about the sidewalks, it would take a few years of budget to just address the sidewalks, in the city of
I
Birmingham.
saw your email early today about whether it came over the weekend or whatever, I saw that.
Yeah, so, I'm saying all that to say, like, we get it, you have big infrastructure, it takes a lot of investment, continuous reinvestment to maintain it. Give me some idea of how much of Birmingham Water Works, infrastructure, is, I'm trying to search for the right word, like, out of date, not up to, modern day standards. I mean, I've been told that, we have pipes in the ground that are 100 years old. Is that factual?
It's factual. And just so you know, Birmingham Water Works over the many years acquired a lot of different systems. It's made up of several different systems. And those are ones that may have had little wooden pipe. They may have had PVC pipe. And so, yes, we do have pipe in the ground that's over 100 years old. And the pipe that concerns us most, it makes up about 15% of the system, but it causes 67% of our leaks. And that's the unlined cast iron. And you can imagine when water is going through unlined cast iron and with all of the makeup of the water, how it erodes. So that, and also galvanized steel pipe. And I think we probably got in the neighborhood of 600-700 miles of those two. And that's where our source of problem is mainly. And at about $1.5 million a mile, you can see that's a huge, 1.5 times 600, that's $900 million just in unlined cast iron and galvanized steel. And so therein lies our problem when it comes long term. So if you were, that is where our focus is. That's the cause of leaks, that's the cause of discolored water in our pipeline, and it's expensive to replace. And we know where all of it is. And so the maps that we sent out to you all of our mapping is on GIS, so we know exactly where this bad pipe is, and we prioritize it based on leaks that happen in the area, and also when we get complaints. And so in a nutshell, that is where our focus is.
Well, I'll leave this question.
And let me say this, so you saw the dollar amount, and at the pace that we're going at right now, our capital budget for pipeline replacement is somewhere around 25 million. You can see how that is not enough. To be able to take care of that, you need an infusion of some significant dollar amount to be able to replace that. And so what we do is prioritize it based upon leaks, and where the worst pipe is, and in order to control the budget, and seek funding when we can.
Definitely can, identify with you there because, we have over $200 million of sidewalk repairs that we should do at some point. We have no idea where that money's gonna come from. And it may be, well over $200 million. The answer to this question doesn't really matter. It's more just me, just kind of casting about. But the governor recently announced that they're going to be moving forward with completion of the eastern portion of the Northern Belt Line, which will, open up a lot of development opportunities along that corridor. Of course, to do development, you have to have infrastructure. You have to have sewer, water, electricity, and all that kind of stuff. This is getting way beyond your.
No, I
strategic
understand.
plan.
Well, in our plan, we've got economic development and infrastructure improvement, but I can tell you what that means for us.
Okay, so, just looking at, the region, and there's a lot of other water systems that, you may have to compete against, but Birmingham Water Works, sort of have that on your long range, trajectory is to be able to be competitive for those types of opportunities?
We're always open to opportunities. We are growing just a small amount because, you're here in this community, you kind of know where the growth is. Most of the customers in our area are within our footprint. And so we know where our pipe is on this exterior or the outer edges of our system. We're members of BBA, so if there's companies that want to move here, they ask us where our pipe is. The way we fund those is we have what's called developer install agreements. And so if the developer comes here, they'll come to us with the plan. We actually come to your zone. Come to us with the plans, and we'll say, well, here's what you need, and they will build that into their development cost. So we don't just give money freely. And the reason for that is, or give money to individuals, companies, but not like what you can do. But the reason for that is we do what's called a cost of service study, and our rates are based on what it costs to serve our several classes of customers. So if you give away funds for, say, business, then somebody has to pay for it. And well, you know what? Residential customer may pay for something that the business is the one that's taking advantage of, even if you think it may bring customers in. So that is why we have developer install agreements. But yes, we are on the radar for that. We're always looking at opportunity. There's not to say that there may not be an opportunity for us to upsize pipe in a certain area, and we do that from time to time. Because we know a lot of this pipe was put in the ground back when the structure of the neighborhoods was different and the flow was different. So we do flows, and let's say what you're referring to, Councilor Quinn, what will happen is we'll look and see what we have out there and say, well, is this an opportunity for us to upsize this pipe in the area? Well, this is an old pipe anyway, let's replace it, and we'll do things like that.
Sort of along the same lines, the capacity of the Birmingham metro area to grow is really kind of tied to the capacity of this infrastructure to support growth. In terms of Birmingham Water Works, is our
at our facilities, I think, maybe it's off just a little bit. We treat and deliver probably about 115 million gallons of water a day. And then when you look at the capacity, we probably got about somewhere around 200 million gallons a day in treatment capacity. And so we've got plenty of capacity to be able to deliver water. And if you look at it, we've got 4 large treatment plants. You got Inland Lake, that's a 20 billion gallon lake. You got Lake Purdy, that's a 5 billion gallon lake. And then you got the Warrior River, and that's out west. And so, plenty of surface water. We've got wells if we need them, but we don't ever want to use those. We use the ones that dry out. But we've got plenty of capacity for water.
Thank you. I do have a few questions. I guess I want to start first by addressing the pink elephant in the room. And we know earlier this year, we did have some legislative action that was geared towards the number of appointments that we make to the board, and then what that structure is as far as between those appointments between the mayor, the council, and other members served by the Waterworks Board. And I do look into your goals. One of those is effective governance, but I want to talk about customer satisfaction, because two of the things that I think no one ever talks about or has any concern about the product quality or the water quality. I think you all are superb in that. You've never had any problems with that. But two of the things that that push was based on was poor customer service and then the board governance. And I know in going down and talking with the committee meeting, and one of the committees that was considering making that, they use customer satisfaction or customer complaints or comments between social media and different things like that. So I just wanted to find out, and I think you've addressed that with your Build Better program, but just for the average customer, can you just go a little bit more into what you think the foundation of this will be to improve that customer satisfaction as far as with the billing, I'm assuming, and the water meter reading, and then just the way that the bill is made up? Could you expound a little bit on that for residents who may be looking to say, well, what's going to be enhancing that customer satisfaction?
So, the customer bill, let me start there. So our previous bill would lump certain charges together so that when a customer called in, what our agents see is different than what the customer would see. And so a significant change in that bill was to be able to make it mirror what our agents see. And so when you're talking to a customer, they can see the exact information on their bill. That has cleared up a lot of questions. The other one is we more clearly separated the Jefferson County bill from Birmingham Waterworks bill. That has been a significant improvement. It was separated, but it's even more separated at this point. The other thing about this bill is we're sending one bill. We don't send multiple bills. If a customer gets behind, or if for some reason we can't read the meter, that happens. Vehicles are parked on a meter. For some reason, if a customer has a pet in the backyard, in our neighborhoods, we've got customers whose meters are in the backyard, or they may be under the porch, and there could be some other issues with the meter reading. There could be a customer that has an issue with the bill, and that they say that something has happened that we have to clear up with them, and that holds up the bill. And so being able to send one bill helps our customers a great deal. The other thing with it is when you look at the font on the bill, it makes it easier, more pleasant to the eye when a customer sees it. And it again, being able to respond faster with a customer, it helps our agents as well. And so we want a timely response, and it helps us with a timely response. The other thing that we've done is when we go out to read a meter, we take a photo of the read. So customers may say that, well, this meter, the meter reader came by, they didn't read my meter, or this can't be right, but we take a photo of it, of that reading. And the other thing we do is when we go and read that meter, if for some reason it's moving, we put a tag on the door so that they know. And we won't send the bill until, if it's a high bill, we had one in the news not too long ago, $20,000 bill, but we talked to that customer. That customer knew that they had a significantly high bill. And we can only adjust the bill after the customer comes in and shows us the invoice. Now, we won't shut the customer's water off or anything like that, but they've got to come in and correct that. So those are the major, with regard to the bill, those are the major ones. And this, we call it our customer resolution team with regard to billing, to handle the most difficult customers who may call in, because many of them can't be handled with just a one phone call, or there may be other information that the customer may have, or we may ask them for. For instance, we've had customers who say, well, there was nobody at the house, and we have to do research. We go back and look several months and see, well, what did the consumption look like? And then what we've seen is sometimes they had a family member that may have come to the house and used the pool and filled the pool up. I mean, those things, people don't think about those things. Or a construction worker may have been working next door and used their water. So there are a lot of different things that happen. Their nephew or cousin may come by and fill up their mobile car wash with their water. So we don't complain about those things. We just work to try to get the customer to understand those. And so with our customer resolution team, those are the kinds of things that we work with. And sometimes when we can't read a meter, some of these are, and this is what we want to do with automated meter reading, hopefully, is clean up the system as to where some of these meters are located. A lot of them are in places where there's snakes. Or where there's, especially this time of the year, you can't find them when the leaves fall. And if you got turnover in meter reading, they can't find it. And so, and we're reading of this over 200,000 meters a month. We're meeting that number a month. And so, on the meter reading side, that's that kind of. I hope I've described that enough. And then you mentioned legislative, social media.
And I want to say too to that, like Michael said, it's all about improved responsiveness. We did get a lot of rap from social media. What we're doing now is just taking more of a responsive approach to where we're meeting the customers where they are. Some people use social media as their link of customer service, so we're responding to every single thing we get on social media. If we're tagged in, and we're going to respond to it. And we're not just going to send a generic response to contact customer service. We're going to respond to it and try to get some answers to you. And so that's a lot of what our team is doing. And I think that helps a lot. We are connected with a lot of our customers, not only with Facebook, but with Nextdoor. It's a big tool for us. We're able to reach out, 125,000 customers? Is it 200,000? Yeah. I mean, that's nearly all of our customer base. And so we found that responding and quickly has really helped us kind of calm that noise, and we're going to continue that.
One of the things we do on the metering is, and this is to answer some of the questions customers may have about, well, did I read my meter? It's full of trash, it's got water in it. Is when we go out, we'll demonstrate what we do if, say, the meter box is full of water. I mean, there's a method. I've done it with these guys and ladies. We do have two young ladies who read meters. They use a tube just to go down. And we also, if there's trash and things like that, there's tubes that we use. Some kind of method to the madness of being able to clear a meter. And you may think that, well, we don't go and dig the whole thing out. So hopefully that helps maybe a little bit. But we do find is when they do see that, then they get a little bit better understanding of of what goes into meter reading.
And I do want to thank you also for bringing the information to us today of where customers can go if they are challenged by the bill or how much the bill is. Because my mother just always said that education is the key to power. So the more that I understand about this process and what those opportunities are for me, because I'll be honest, I've only referred people to the H2O Foundation before and never thought of those other agencies that can help. Because as Dr. O'Quinn can tell you, sometimes we're the first point of inquiry if a customer is having problems. And so I do want to thank you and your team, though, Rick, for the way that you all do respond to us. I feel we've always received adequate response. But is there a number or is there a mechanism where residents can go directly to you and we're sort of not the middleman, even though we want to know what's going on out there, right? But is there opportunity there to give us what would be the best resource for someone if I have that exorbitant bill?
Yeah, well, we always just, ask customers to call our customer service line, which is 244-4000. They can also go on our website to report problems. As far as our Bill Better thing, one thing we did mention that's very important is we created a resource hub, which is bwww.org/BillBetter. And on that website, it has all sorts of tips. It has all those financial resources from utility assistance agencies, just a wealth of things that customers can benefit from. So, that's an option, but we really urge customers to just call that line. Typically, our agents and the supervisors there can funnel the calls to where they need to be. And we really appreciate you guys sending us everything that you get. It helps us to go ahead and address those customers. I know that they'll probably reach out to you because they feel like get a faster response, but we really appreciate that because, we don't want it to go to the media and it's something that we could have corrected or helped, and it's an easy solution. So thank you for doing that for us.
And I better say this because Miss Iris Fisher, I'll tell you, Miss Fisher is very passionate about this, and it's foremost on her mind and working with her team on this. And so she's on vacation, a much needed vacation. I mean, you ask her next time, she needs a vacation, So, but again, this is at the forefront of our minds, and if we can put this automated meter reading in, it'll take us to the
Next level.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're an award-winning utility, but you know what? If customers are not saying good things, are not happy, then you've missed the boat. So
And I apologize, what's the timeline for that?
so hopefully 1/1 of 2025.
That's right.
Now don't hold me to that because the experts. So here's what we want to do with that project is we talk about just an automated meter. That there's more to it than that. So we want to clean up our system. We want to move meters if we have to. We want to get them out of the woods. We want to reroute and get these boxes in shape to where the risk of damage, have it in an environment where in conditions where the meters themselves are free to operate electronically without issues with being in bad places. We can find them. It's easier for us, the customer, and so that's a part of the process. And so whatever it takes for us to do that, we want to be able to do that, and then we want to make sure that we have a good inventory of all of our meters out there. And so it's a significant project. And so 1/1 of 2025 was, I think I can comfortably say that's when we'll start to phase in, because that gives us a year once we select a vendor. And the county is partnering with us on this. I mean, that's a great relationship with them. 60% of our customers are in Jefferson County. They're on our team as part of the process. And so, I mean, I'm excited about the commitment and the possibilities.
Perfect. And just to finalize this part of the conversation, today during council meeting, we did have a question, and this is for any of the utilities. Of course, we spent $16 million last year on our roads and improving our streets. or it's in the budget this year for 16 million,
This year for 15 million.
15 million,
Mhm.
less more to me.
Yeah.
But the point is, definitely, that we put this money into our roads and improvement. And of course, it's very frustrating for residents when we make those improvements, then it appears to us that it's right after we pave that street, then that's when the utility has to come and, do their job or do
Yeah.
their work. So,
Yeah.
I do just want to be able to say to residents, I know for the water works, we get these year-long out projections of where you're gonna be doing that, project. And so could you just tell us a little bit about how that information is relayed back to the city, or what that communication is, so that we aren't out there paving and you've got a big project coming up in a few months?
Right, and so our engineering department works directly with the city engineers here to coordinate when those projects are going to be let. And there are several examples of that. I can't name the specific streets, but what we do. Say again?
Fountain Heights, the whole neighborhood of Fountain Heights. Yeah.
That's a great example of that. Oh, yeah, and so we'll hold up. You know, that's the last thing we want to do, is go in and do infrastructure work and patch.
Unless
Patch.
it's a main break.
Something happens.
Unless it's a main break, yes. We don't do, there's no projects that we start that we don't talk to you all about. And so everything's on GIS, and we know what your schedule is, and we work with your engineers here to coordinate when we do that work.
Thank you. Well, all eyes are on you, because you all are in my neighborhood. Clock's kinda ticking on.
Yeah.
But, appreciate that, no, appreciate that.
Yes.
Any other questions of Councilor Quinn, comments?
I could probably ask you questions all afternoon.
Well, you can, I mean, you know, I'll tell you, we got to answer to any question that you'll ask.
I would say the one thing that the other area of concern that I've heard over the years is, you know, regarding, so you guys have to contract with lots of other businesses in order to execute your mission. And, you know, one of the things that I hear from the community is access to those opportunities. So have you guys ever done like a disparity study or something of that nature that you know, kind of sets forth or creates the opportunity to set forth some policy to more equitably, you know, provide opportunities to, you know, folks
Yeah.
who want to do work with you?
Yeah, we don't have a disparity study or anything like that, but I can say this: we have a policy which has a goal of spending 30% of our budget of the items that you use those vendors for with historically underutilized businesses. That could be women business, that could be African American businesses. And at our last report, we were probably 20-something%, close to the 30. That is a conscious effort of ours, and our vendors understand that. We've done particularly well on the construction end, which I think is significant. It's even more on the consulting end. And I say that on the construction end because it takes vendors to appreciate what you're doing, because if you're building, if you're helping other businesses along, it just helps our whole community. That's our message behind that. And so they've done that. So we've done a really, really good job, I think, of that. We're meeting that target, and in many cases, we're over 30%. We don't just look at the 30%. We look at, well, okay, here's a business. Is there an opportunity for other historically underutilized businesses to participate? And we ask them on the front end while following the bid process. So yes, we do that. And if there are some businesses that that want to get in contact with us and they don't understand the process, we'll be glad to talk to them. Yeah.
Well, again, I do thank you for bringing this information to us. The request was put out, and you gladly said, we'll come by and talk. I think when I heard about Build Better, I just said, come on and talk to us about that. And so this update has been very helpful for me, and I feel it's been the same for Councilor Quinn. I can't speak for him, but I think it's. And so we appreciate that, and do thank you again for
Okay.
bringing this information to us.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to our old business and status of any ongoing projects. I know we have Alabama Power here, just wanted to say, you want to give an update or anything you want to share about any ongoing projects or anything going on? Thank you.
Yes, let me just say, I got my work out here, I'm ready for the day, talking from Ralph over here in heels, okay? So I appreciate, the patience and waiting on some of us who were a few minutes late. Again, I'm Blair Sullins, Community Development Specialist with Alabama Power. Usually, my colleague and teammate Julian Grant's able to join me. If not both of us, he or I are here. And we just wanted to give a quick update on the lighting improvements that have taken place across some of the parks. Just a bit of a background. As you guys know, back in, I believe, 2021, we started looking at some of the parks across the city of Birmingham. And we kept revisiting those parks and revisiting those parks. And last year, in coordination with our energy services team, we were able to lock in some of those parks. And just this past March, lock in some contracts on about 80-plus lights. And so that I don't misspeak about some of the parks that we've gotten those contracts on, one is Rushton Park, Rhodes Park, Caldwell Park, Lowry Park, Wylam Park, and East Pinson Valley Park. So the fixtures were shipped back in May, around the 19th of May. A couple of the projects have already been completed, I believe, in Wylam and Lowry. And so we're just waiting on those additional fixtures to come in so that we can complete the projects on the remaining parks. But particularly it was for the parking lots, the walking trails, the tracks, the stadiums, and the fields. And so we're continuing to ensure that safety remains at the forefront, particularly in those areas, not only across the city, but in those areas as well. And so that's the only update I have at this time.
Thank you, I appreciate you for bringing that to us, because often our questions remain about what those lighting improvements. I know when I first came on the council in 2018 or 19, we were going into those commitments. I believe, was that around 17?
Yeah.
Something around.
Actually, it's been so long since I've gotten an update, I don't really know that I have full understanding of where we are, because I believe, when we first started that project, there were about 13 parks that, we had said this was gonna be our initial, the projects we're gonna start with. I'm assuming that we have not done all of those, is that correct?
No, as we continue to have these conversations and lock in the contracts, that information will be provided in response to an update on it. But so far, these are the only parks that we have confirmed with our energy services team with locking in. But I'm happy to get some additional information on where we stand with those additional areas
I think that would be
and bring that back.
good
Or maybe
for all
send
of us.
Isola an email. Yeah, and
Yeah, I mean, maybe even having, Denise Bell from Capital Improvements or some of the folks from Park and Rec, because, some of those, I know for all of our counselors, those are important projects. And, like I said, I sit on this committee and I'm not sure I know what's going on with that. So, yeah, an update would be most helpful.
yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be very beneficial, because I think we're just 2 among 9 who have the same, especially those of us, everybody has parks. And we know, I remember, I'm thinking 13 parks were included originally. I don't know what that status. So a status update would be very helpful to us, because I know when I get the capital projects list each month, I go straight to D7. And so I'm not looking at what other parks or lighting projects may have been committed. So getting that conversation with Ms. Bell, the director of capital projects, and getting that information from you all. I appreciate today's update, but I think for us to be able to reference it from what the expectation was to where we are now, that would be helpful to us, because often residents will ask us about that information, and I know I'd like to be able to just give them an honest summary of what we're doing. So this is great, great information, but we could just get a little bit more of, where we are with the overall project.
Sure
I know
thing.
you can only give me what you got. But in comparison
Yes.
to what we started out with.
Especially if you're going back prior to 2021, because that was the information that was relayed to me from our energy services group, as far as, I guess, when the conversation started rocking and rolling. And of course, I joined Birmingham Division November 21. Although I've been with the company almost 20 years. But yeah, I'm happy to get a more detailed synopsis of how that project is going.
And if we get that size over, and then I'll distribute that to the other councils. Yes, Dr. O'Connor.
One other thing that I've been hearing the commercial need to go down to Vance and talk to the folks at Mercedes. One of the things that just made my jaw drop was that the president said that the last combustion engine vehicle will roll off of their assembly line in 2025.
So there's some big things going on in 2025.
Yeah, and no, it's funny that you bring that up, because the BBA had a business update earlier today where RB Walker, who works in our governmental affairs office, kind of provided an update on that, as well as our senior vice president Lee Davis from economic development and marketing. They gave an update, or they talked about what you just mentioned in Vance. And so, as you guys know, there are 4 organizations that Alabama Power Company has teamed up with in response to not only electric vehicles, but some other initiatives with Innovate Alabama, Rebuild Alabama, things of that nature, because holistically, Team Alabama makes sense, right? And so as those additional opportunities come up, that particular team in question, or that I just mentioned, will be working closely to identify ways in which we can help improve efficiencies with that particular area. But that did come up in conversation during his speech.
Yeah, I'm just looking around at our EV charging infrastructure.
Yeah.
And, looking at it right now, it doesn't seem like we're ready for a 2025, shift to EV. And, I mean, for the city of Birmingham, one of the spaces that we're, continue to be interested in having EV charging available as an amenity is in our public parking facilities. So I've communicated that also to Andre Davis at Birmingham Parking Authority. But after hearing from Mercedes, it seems even more kind of urgent, because it seems like the market is shifting faster than I anticipated, for sure.
Yeah, and so that's part of what we do from a community relations, community development standpoint in the divisions, is you identifying that or just kind of solidifying what we are already aware of. If it's worth us going into those particular areas, identifying how we can implement the EV chargers, then we're happy to do that. So whatever that point of reference is, just let us know, and then we're happy to get that particular team of experts in place to kind of identify those specific areas of focus.
Thank you. I think that would really be great. I'm so glad you brought that up, Dr. O'Flynn, because that's just one automotive manufacturer. We don't know what other companies are considering, and this is right in our back door. And also, when we're at the National League of Alabama League of Municipalities, their annual meeting, this was a topic of discussion as well, more from a revenue generation point for some cities, if you wanted to have these charges and how people are going out, talking about where you could place them.
Yeah, we have
The
that.
economic development.
That particular team in question, it's called site development or something to that effect, where they actually identify the best points to implement the EV structures. So, yeah, subject matter experts across the platform of Alabama Power.
Well, thank you. Well, we look forward to other information as well about the life improvements. Thank you so much. Well, at this time, we don't have, we appreciate the status of that project. We don't have any other utilities that are present to bring any updates. So Dr. Quinn, I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
Yes, so moved.
I second, all those in favor, aye.